Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
We are we are trying to recollect the memory since your days of joining IIT Madras. So I'm going to ask you a few um, initiating questions. From there, we'll take it forward.
Okay.
So tell us about your uh, educational background prior to joining IIT Madras.
Okay. All my initial studies were in Kerala. Uh, and also the university studies were again in Kerala University. Up to master's degree in physics, I was there in Kerala only for all my education. Then there is a sudden change that has come. There was a chance meeting by the then head of the department, Professor P.C. Verghese, and me, because we are from the same place. So we met there during one of his vacations. So he was asking me about my interests. So I said physics, electronics, and also acoustics.
Hmm.
Then he said, IIT Madras is going to recruit so many science postgraduates to assist in laboratory experiments. And there is it likely that a recruitment drive will start. Why don't you apply if you are interested?
Hmm.
So I applied. Coming to IIT for a person with background only in Kerala, it was not that easy to shape myself to getting into an institution like IIT. To be very frank, I never even heard about it, except that one of my student friends applied for JEE and didn't get it. He was a central minister's son. Okay, then I applied and then I got an interview call. The interview was the first time I faced very stalwarts, because in colleges, physics, even post graduation, up to what level we can go. I remember the panel of interviewers. One, of course, was Director Dr. Ramchandran.
Hmm.
Then head of the physics department, Professor Ramswamy, Ram Sastri. Then Professor P.C. Verghese was there. And there are two German professors who have come to set up the structures lab.
Okay.
Yes. And Professor Cordes and Professor Julian Plain. Professor Plain was a professor already in Hanover University.
Hmm.
Professor Cordes was in Aachen, but both were very friendly. In fact, right from the day one, we were in good times. I will tell you how the thing has really happened.
Hmm.
So after the interview, of course, they were asking me some of the questions in physics, measurements especially, and also acoustics, like reverberation time and things like that. I was happy with the interview, and it so happened I was selected.
Okay.
And along with me, Professor Ramchandraya, who was cell engineering department, he was also selected in that interview. Then shifting from Kerala to Chennai, at that time still Madras,
Okay.
and it was not very bad because Professor Varghese at that time was Chairman Council of Wardens. So he gave me a room in one of the hostels, because that was even earlier practiced. There are a lot of rooms available, so therefore I gave a letter and he gave me a room. So the environment has not changed much, because in a hostel room, along with other students, of course, they are all senior students. But then, coming to department, even for lunch, from Kaveri, I was in Kaveri, from Kaveri hostel to department was not that far. So there is not much change, but I really enjoyed the academic environment of the department and also the place as a whole.
Who was the director at that time, Professor?
Professor A. Ramchandran.
So he was from which department?
He's from mechanical.
Tell us more about the transition happening from civil engineering to ocean engineering.
That's thank you for that question.
That was curious for me also.
Yeah, I know. In fact, even today, many people do not know that.
That's why.
In German system of research, the laboratories will have, of course, all facilities, but there will be at least one or two people with science background helping the scholars to do the experiments, not only the scholars but also the faculty members. And that was, you're almost, getting the experience of working with a senior colleague in things which we may not be knowing at that time. So, but what is after all, science and engineering? For example, I was talking about this acoustics. Acoustics is a part of, building sciences. But there are many things, fundamentals of which we also study in physics. But later on also, when I came to ocean engineering, at that time also acoustics played a very important role. So, doing experiments which I liked always, right from the practical classes of the undergraduate course, always used to get very high grades for practical labs. And a few years back, when I went to my old college, I saw my old record, which I have written at that time, is still preserved. So that was the type of environment. There is nothing much, especially when it comes to research. A lot of experiments which are probably extension of physics to practical aspects of engineering. So I never felt the change, except when I had to deal with students. For example, survey lab. I never even heard about survey at that time. But then I was put in charge of one batch of students in survey. But somehow I managed. I used to learn and then go and then be with the students, watch what they are doing. I think slowly it has built on that background. Then came the strength of materials. Strength of material, lot of the laboratories are physics labs, physics experiments.
I was actually asking about when you decided to transition from civil department to ocean engineering, and how that happened, kind of.
See, I was doing a lot of projects. Civil engineering, nothing much to do with naval architecture. But when a person is good, I mean, he will be good whatever environment you put him to. So the same thing happened with me. Some of the senior colleagues of ocean engineering was watching me and the type of work I am doing. So probably at that time they thought, yes, this is a person whom we can get to ocean engineering, so that young blood, enthusiasm to work. Most of the time I will be in the department, even in the night. But so probably the senior colleagues felt that I will be a good addition to this thing. And the change, there was not much of a change as far as the type of work is concerned.
So at that time, who was the HOD when you transferred from civil to ocean?
Professor Misra.
Oh, Professor Misra, okay.
Not this Misra, the old man.
So after getting transferred to ocean engineering, I have heard you have set up a very good instrumentation lab those days.
Yeah.
So tell us more about what has been the very important projects related to ocean engineering that was done during those days.
Yeah, I think it will take a long time.
We can hear a little bit.
So, first part of it is your question. The first part is about
the lab.
The lab, how to set up the lab. I told you about 2 German professors who have come to structures lab to set up the lab, and I was put to learn with them. So it was almost like a fish to water. I enjoyed my work in the lab plus my interaction with the 2 Germans. In between, something has happened. The senior professor, Professor Plain, who is a civil engineer in Hanover. So he called me once. I mean, just probably 2-3 weeks into my work in IIT, he called me and asked, I want to give you a task. You have to give me a solution. I said, let me hear the task. You know the twisted bar. Twisted bars, if you remove layer by layer, that twist will untwist. Okay? So he said, I will make something to take layer by layer of material and what happens to the parent structure. So once it is, the residual stress is in the form of torque. And that if you release, it will rotate into opposite direction. So that rotation angle I have to learn. I never heard about anything similar. But I thought it's a good challenge. When you have something which is untwisting, you can have some kind of optical instrumentation to measure the angle of untwist. So I devised a technique by which, fortunately for me, there is in the imported equipment of structures lab, we had some type of optical levers. So that optical levers I found, and then I adapted it to this and got the measurements done absolutely wonderfully well. So the professor was very much impressed because he has never been able to get it done even in Germany. So therefore he was so happy. And from then he used to give me work, and then I used to execute the type of measure. So these are all measurements of physical quantities.
Hmm.
It may be strain, it may be twist, it may be angle, or similar to that, or non-electrical parameter. That is measurement of non-electrical parameters with electrical means.
Hmm.
And that somehow I mastered it very quickly. And probably for every research scholar will have time to discuss with me, and then
So, because of this high-end instrumentation availability, uh, I remember seeing some of your earlier projects for DRDO.
yeah,
Tell us a bit more about those achievements, Professor.
I think probably it can come a little later because there are a lot of things about DRDO projects. But it's all these things are measuring something which is mechanical quantities or properties. And I found it really interesting to do such work. And I don't think I ever had a failure.
Hmm.
Many type of work that has been done. In fact, even the resistance strain gauges which is put in concrete, which was a big nightmare for everybody. But we tried doing it with some innovations and got measurements done inside the concrete. So like that, there are quite a little bit of projects. Coming to the DRDO projects, it started very early.
Hmm.
Very early means probably in the 1970s, early 70s. When I was in structures lab again, Professor Victor, Professor T.B. Ganeshan, and Dr. Achyuta, they were mostly, instrumental in shaping me also. It was really interesting that I was called for a project which was pretty tough.
Hmm.
The project was to measure dynamic strains when the firing happens from a gun.
Hmm.
I think I've jumped a little because this gun, the earlier version of Indian field gun Mark 1, was having some disadvantages because it is very heavy.
Hmm.
So transporting from one place to another, even with the help of a helicopter, was difficult. And then its weight has to be reduced considerably, but at the same time without affecting the performance. So there are this. The project itself was divided into different headings. The first one was measure the strains, because in some places there are some failures when the artillery gun is fired. We never had much of a instrumentation for measurement of dynamic strain, and it's also not very easy because when the dynamics is involved, there can be a lot of dynamic amplifications.
Hmm.
And that has to be taken into account when you are measuring, and your instrument must be capable of taking that type of dynamic strains. Of course, these are for preparations. But once that is done, then several experiments. We went to Balasore.
Okay.
Balasore is the place where the guns are tested. under firing conditions. So we took measurements and then we used to carry huge equipment all the way to Balasur. I think we used to travel only by that. There's a famous Howrah Mail. Howrah Mail. We get into the Howrah Mail and then 2 days of travel and then get out. Of course, once we reach there, carrying all this equipment is also not very easy. But somehow we managed and I was, the results were very good.
Tell us a little bit more about the team in ocean engineering over a period of your working there, Professor, with other colleagues, HODs.
Yeah, I think I had the best of relations with practically everyone. Whenever there is some doubt, we'll go and ask and discuss. There are senior colleagues who were very, very helpful. We'll start with Professor Ganapati. Yes, he's also your teacher. Professor Ganapati and even Sambandhan. Yeah, it's another interesting project. I'll take a bit of a diversion. The Vadyar Boats, a company here in Chennai, who is building lifeboats.
Okay.
And these lifeboats, this particular development was to develop a boat which will survive fire conditions for about 8 or 10 minutes. Complete fire. Sometimes it happens, yeah. Now, there is a accident, fire accident. For example, the boat will be in actual fire.
Okay.
Whether it will survive, that is number one. Whether it, because it is all FRP boats, whether it will survive the fire, and then whether it will create any poisonous gas because of the heat inside the boat where the crew are sitting. Because this boat is always used for evacuation during fire accidents. So the test was to put the boat under fire for about 10 minutes or so and continuously monitor what is the temperature inside the boat and also collect samples so that whether the gas is becoming poisonous. Very interesting project. We went to a place owned by Simpsons. It's a big farm. So there they built a tank, and this tank you could fill kerosene, water, and it can also be set to fire.
Okay.
So in that tank we have about 4,000 liters of kerosene. 4,000 liters of kerosene. And this boat was floating. Boat is a real prototype boat. It is not that model boat. It's about 8 meter or 10 meter long and then made out of FRP. This boat was floated in kerosene water mixture, and then it was set on fire. It was a huge experiment. We were all standing outside. The whole boat is under fire.
Okay.
It's a real flame. I think the flame temperature we measured it as about 900 degrees centigrade. It was set on fire, and then from different places we put thermocouples to measure the temperature. So inside the boat Lot of thermocouples were deployed, and there was some small gas bottles which is kept open so that the gas can be collected. And it took almost about 10 minutes of boat under fire.
Mm.
So there are a lot of technology to prevent the fire damage, which I don't want to explain because uh, it is not uh, probably not very much interesting to this audience. So,
Among the research scholars worked with you, can you give us a bit, kind of student who has done some kind of work which is attracted to you? So many, I'm sure so many research scholars might have worked with you.
yeah, that's correct. But for every project was a new experience for me, and I like, especially with the new students, young students, working with them is very uh, very interesting. I mean, it is not that we'll get bored or something like that, but definitely yes. But I don't want to talk about PIV because it has not happened here.
And my next question is that only. When you were doing so much here, give us a bit of idea about transitioning from Chennai to Singapore and working there for a couple of years.
Not couple of years.
2 years, no? Almost.
In fact, I went for 2 years but returned in 9 months.
Okay.
Because that I was not very happy with the conditions. So in 9 months I returned. Yeah, it's again by, I don't know whether it is luck or unluck, that I was offered this position in civil engineering part of NUS. I think from the day one I was not very happy because the type of work and also the type of people with whom I had to work was nothing compared to what is happening in IIT.
But I was lucky to work with you there.
That is what I am. Probably the only exception was Professor Nallayarasu.
It was my luck that you were there for some time to help me.
Who was doing his PhD there, and you were setting up the PIV. Yeah, I mean, it is working together with you was again probably, I don't know whether during your MTech time I had much interaction with you.
Not so much.
Not so much. But
Because
now it is almost 24 hours working together. So that way it was really interesting. And PIV was one of the latest techniques in velocimetry. And
after returning from Singapore, so you're back in ocean engineering.
Back in ocean engineering, yes.
So tell us a little bit about your the administrative side of IIT Chennai when you have come to this building, especially the Dean Student's Office, and then to the Deputy Director Office.
I was always working very closely with the students. Right from the day one when I was staying in the hostel as a staff member in the department. But my interaction with the students were very good. So after about 10 months or so in Kaveri hostel as a resident, I was offered a assistant warden's position in Godavari hostel, or I think it was Godavari hostel, and later I became warden in Mundakini. So all this time, my interaction with the students were good. Students' administration and also student projects. Then many cultural events which are organized by the students and also to give them directions. Sports. Even at that time, our sports facilities were very good.
Hmm.
Not, of course, to the highest standard, but definitely. So whatever was missing, probably I could persuade the director to add, along with the existing facilities. Of course, swimming pool was already there. Only thing is there are some major repairs that were renovation that were required, and that has been done. Then we were always planning to have some squash courts,
Hmm.
which was added to in the new sports facility. That is a golden jubilee present to IIT students. It two squash courts, then table tennis courts, and there's also some indoor space wherein students can sit and discuss, meditate, or whatever they want to do. So that place was also given in the new. But then in the 6 years of my deanship, I think almost 3 years we organized the inter-IIT sports meet, which was again is a big challenge because from different colleges, different IITs, students will come and then they stay here. It is a really challenging work to organize this, and then it went on really well. In fact, the director, I must thank him for all the type of help that is required. I mean, you just go and ask him, he will give it. That was the type of director we had at that time, Professor Anand.
Bit more about your role as working as a deputy director with Professor M.S. Anand.
Yes. Now, when this role of us deputy director came, because for me it was just another step forward from all the work that has been done. But it was really a very, very fruitful time as DD in IIT Madras. Because practically everyone is known to me, whether it is senior students or whether it is faculty. Are all very, very cooperative, and we could get things done with the teams that we could build over the years, identifying faculty who are interested in student affairs. And we had several such committees, and then it worked extremely well. It's all a teamwork always. I mean, it is not that a single person can do anything much.
Comparing 1970s when you were teaching, 1980s when I was a student, the number of students have increased so much that we feel little bit different in terms of teaching. Tell us your travel through that many number of years from 70s to now, in fact up to 2010 12 time.
Yeah. I think the early years, the number of students are less. But I was not having at that time many undergraduate course. But PG course, yes. Even PG, the number of students were not much. But suddenly, I think, I don't know when it has happened, really the number of students have gone up pretty fast. And we were all finding the pressure.
Yeah.
First of all, to find out classrooms which will accommodate that number of students. Of course, for our department, it is not a big issue, but there are always the seminar room, which was doubled as a classroom.
Yes.
It worked very well.
So what is your experience working with DRDO in various positions? Have gone up to the level of chairman in RB.
Oh, experience with the DRDO started very early in 1970. That is the testing of that gun. Since then, continuously I was getting reference projects. It was not, I means not just me alone, but it's a team of people about whom I have already talked. Professor Ganeshan, Achyuta, Professor Victor, Professor Aravindan. Unfortunately, he is no more. You know, all this, none of them are alive now. So, it a very smooth run with all the different projects, because for every project there will be something new. You have to innovate, even to do the testing. But I did remember a case when the palmyra tree, the type of palmyra trees we have, Panamaram, was used to get the reaction for applying load on something. Because either you have big frames, or you get something which is naturally available so that you can apply the force, the reaction can go to without damaging the tree itself. These are all very, very, very innovative way in which we have done some of the tests. Okay, so that was going on. Then in the Navy also we had similar projects. I had very good relationship with the senior officers of Naval Science and Technological Laboratory in Vizag, Naval Physical and Oceanographic Lab in Cochin, and of course DRDL, Hyderabad. So I will probably take up with the lab NPOL as well as NSTL. Every time there will be something challenging to do. We were called for discussions, and we could find some solutions which are either by developing instrumentation for the work there, and many of them were giving very satisfactory results. So NPOL being mainly an acoustics lab, which is their terms of reference was to develop sonars. But even for sonars, we had some work to do with not directly connected with acoustics, but which is peripheral. Then after many months of work, I was asked to take over as the Lab Research Council chairman. So it is not just NPOL alone. even in NSCL I was, because there was some restructuring of defense labs. And these defense labs had a lab research council consisting of academicians and then also DRDO scientists to form policies and also the development work for the next 4 or 5 years. So first I was inducted as a member of the LRC in NPOL, and that was really good. I think a senior defense officer was the chairman. But really, more than anything else, I learned a lot of defense technology by sitting in such meetings. Later on, when the NSCL LRC was reconstituted, I was made the chairman. So that was again a very good, fruitful period of for the lab. It went on like that. I mean, it is really interesting to, when you go and attend meeting, discuss about the projects, you also learn a lot from the experience of the labs. So
our department, especially when you superannuated and then the current research, if you can give some perspective that where do we supposed to go with future technologies, AI, ML, and kind of warfare that is happening, what kind of research could lead to something useful to the country?
Probably this is an area wherein I have not much to say, because last 10 years I don't think I have had much interaction because of bad health. I withdrew from many of the committees. So therefore, and also there is not much of a resources available, so for example, journals, etc. It is not very easy to get. So I almost withdrew from this active research. But when I say that, I was still consultant in an honorary basis to many of the projects.
Kind of advisory type?
It is some kind of an advisory thing, yes. I think I lost in between somewhere. The modern warfare, it is better that I don't talk about it because I don't have much experience. But some of the work that is done by defense labs, because they are the people who are supposed to develop the technology and also implement it, they are doing extremely well. Especially, of course, though it is almost 10 years since the underwater missile has been developed, the role played by department, our ocean engineering department, was tremendous in the development of these underwater missiles, which is mostly done by DRDL. Fortunately, many of the top people there are our own students, and we could, interact with them even when there is no active participation as projects. But I think that is one of the most successful project of DRDL, which was put in use. Put in use means demonstration was done within a very short time. And probably the role played by us in creating data that are required for all designs was definitely worth mentioning. Of course, anyone who has access to the DRDL websites perhaps may be able to get some details at least.
Thank you, sir.